Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Town Manager Update. I'm James Milan, and I am with Adam Chapdelaine, our Town Manager. Adam, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks, James.
Um, Bit of a sober day today as the day began with a procession through town, starting at Hanscom Air Force Base and working through Lexington and into Arlington in honor of, well, it's the funeral procession for an Arlington native, Marwan Gabor, who, as we all know now, died quite tragically in a helicopter crash last week. Um, just want to, usually we would start with COVID, but this feels more compelling at the moment.
Yes, I mean, as you said, a tragedy, a loss for the community. I feel like the more folks that I've spoken to over the past few days, the more connections I've learned about. I learned about it from the VSO, I believe it was late last week, and got a call from a town meeting member that went to high school with him. Letting me know about it and telling me more about him, and you just shared a few moments before hitting record a connection that you had with him, and that's been I've had a few more of those experiences in the community as well, and it's a loss for the community, it's a loss for his family, and yet a testament to his service and sacrifice serving in the military. So today, as you mentioned, was the funeral procession, and I want to thank Jeff Chunglo, our Director of Veteran Services, and our police and fire departments and the two chiefs for working to put together, putting our best foot forward to let the family know that we were there for them and to support them in their time of grief. And also happy that Lexington stepped up as well as the procession came through Lexington. Their police and fire were out in force to show their support. Again, down Mass Ave, through Arlington, police, fire, the residents really came out to show the family how much they were there to support them, which was very, very meaningful.
Yes, it was a moving sight with lots and lots of folks at a very early hour and after a schedule change that came at the last minute as well. Nonetheless, people were responding to this chord that really resonates with many of us who did have some direct contact with Marwan, or those who just know him through his sterling reputation. So obviously a loss. We will reluctantly move forward and on to our next topic. But we at ACMi, feel the loss in particular. Marwan was one of the two students who most had the most to do with the building of our own youth program at ACMi, starting about 12 years ago when he was a high schooler. And so that's yet another personal connection to Mark and to kind of honor his memory around.
Yeah. Yes.
And I wish we were turning to a brighter subject, but instead we'll talk about get the COVID-19 update for town for this week from you.
So over the past week, we've continued to see an uptick in transmission. It was a very busy weekend for the health department last weekend with a good number of cases coming in. Not quite as many cases coming in over the course of the week, but still pushing us up to where we think under the new calculation we might be designated as yellow either this week or next. So that announcement or decision will be made later today by the state. So we continue, I feel like week after week, we talk about how we're in a precarious situation, and I think that holds true. More broadly, I think now we're just a week away from Thanksgiving. We'll be sending out messaging later today, and you'll continue to hear from us. And you'll hear this messaging really from multiple layers of government and the press and others, really urging people to try to keep their Thanksgiving gatherings small. Thanksgiving in Canada was a few weeks back in October, and they saw a large national surge after Thanksgiving with people getting together. And I'm hopeful that we can all learn from that and try to keep our gatherings small, if we're gathering at all on Thanksgiving, to try to keep those numbers down. I think we're entering a very difficult stage this winter. We're going to be inside more often. The virus is surging really across the nation, and the vaccine's just not quite ready yet. So the more we can do to maintain that distancing, I listened to a speaker this morning who's referring to it as smart distancing, which I liked that. So the more we can be smart about distancing, keep those masks on, and limiting our gatherings, I think the better off we'll be.
Yeah, and just to throw in a couple of numbers that really startled me about the situation here in Massachusetts. I read this morning from a news source that since September, that the case numbers have climbed by 8 times. That there are 8 times as many cases on a daily basis as there was just a couple of months ago. So uh, you couldn't be righter in terms of, again, outlining how precarious the position is that we find ourselves in at the moment. And let us hope that people here in Arlington continue to do what they have been doing for quite a while now, and that is exercise a lot of self-discipline
Yes.
around a holiday that in the end, if we I think I may have noted this before, but in the end, if we have to lose more or less our Thanksgiving and other holidays in this winter season, and that's just that, and that is the total price that we have to pay to get beyond this, I do feel like people will feel that it's worth it. I
Yes,
hope so.
I agree. I hope you're right, and I agree.
We also have had the onset of town meeting, of the special town meeting taking place here at this unusual time of mid-November. And things got underway this past Monday night. And I understand that 2 sessions have happened already. So that gives you some data. We had talked in the last couple of weeks in anticipation of this, but how have things been going so far, and what business has been taken care of?
So, in terms of how things have been going or process, I think I'd say simultaneously things have gone very well from an effectiveness point of view. But speaking for myself, but I think I can probably speak for a lot of folks, they've gone slower than we would have anticipated. Um, it's worked very well in that I think so far it's been demonstrated to be a very safe and effective system that can clearly record the votes, make the votes easy to report the next day, and seems to be easy for a large or significant portion of town meeting members to use. Slower in that there's a learning curve. We have a good number of members. I think all members on the first night were getting through a learning curve, even though there had been trainings, even though there had been a mock town meeting. And then the second night, I think there was a little bit more comfort. But we're seeing that for the effectiveness of it, there's not necessarily efficiency in doing virtual town meetings. I'm noticing that there's a lot of votes that the moderator is able to take via an easy voice vote that is not possible in this virtual setting. So it has to go through the electronic vote process, which again, it's very clean, it's very effective, but it's not very efficient. So I think we've seen a slow process, but I'm not saying that in any critical way. I think it's just what we've learned from it. I happen to look at what Lexington, who we're taking this model from, has been doing in their special town meeting that's underway right now too, and they had just about the same amount of articles in their warrant as we have, and they've been through 6 nights and are planning 2 more. So I'm not suggesting that we have to go 8 nights, but it did make me feel a little better about the fact that this form and format isn't necessarily going to provide the efficiency that we might have hoped for or expected. I would say, though, I'm super pleased with the patience that town meeting members have shown. I think the moderator has just been has done an amazing job of staying calm and upbeat as everybody's learning through this. And I want to thank the staff too, who have been the tech staff and the support staff that have been helping both town meeting members and the moderator keep moving this forward over the course of not just the past 2, Monday, Wednesday, but all the way back to when the training started.
Yeah, we make consistent and constant mention of this, but it deserves it, and that is the prodigious efforts, really, that are being put forward by people such as town moderator John Leone, but many others behind the scenes just to make this happen at all. But I think you have prepared us here for the fact that much more likely than not, town meeting will be extending itself into December, it looks like at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to make any enemies by saying it's going to go that long, but
Well, I'm not trying to, not trying to pin you down there or anything or commit you to something, but I would venture to say that two meetings down, I don't think there's a quarter of the warrants having been dealt with just yet. So, the numbers speak for themselves to some degree, but we'll hope that the pace can pick up. Do you have anything to note about what has been decided already?
Yeah, I think it is worth noting that three of really, I would say, some of the biggest biggest articles or articles that were expected to have the most dialogue were front loaded at the beginning of the warrant, and all three of those were adopted by town meeting over the past two sessions. So maybe that gives us a little bit of hope that the rest of the warrant won't take as long. But so town meeting did adopt the study committee to look at putting together the possibility of putting together a civilian oversight board for the police department. That was debated last night. There were two amendments that were passed, and then the article as amended, or the recommended vote by the select board as amended, was adopted by the body. So that study will be able to go forward over the course of the next year or so. The body also adopted the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust Fund. There were a series of amendments that were debated, some not adopted, one adopted, and ultimately town meeting adopted the creation of the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So there was some good debate back and forth on that issue as well. And then tying back into the sustainability news that you and I have talked about quite frequently, town meeting did adopt the home rule petition in regards to banning the fossil fuel infrastructure in new construction and large renovations. So I would say personally, of all three, I think that final one's the one I'm most excited about. I think it really sets Arlington out as a leader, along with Brookline and a small number of other communities that are trying to really push forward on addressing climate change more aggressively. There's more battles to be had there in terms of the home rule petition going to the legislature and being considered by the legislature and either adopted or not adopted. But yeah, I think town meeting really dug into some meaty articles, and all three were passed over the past two sessions.
Yeah, all three of those clearly of quite a bit of significance for the town. But I have to say also that I think anybody who's been listening to you for any time in the last few years will not be surprised to hear you say that last one you mentioned is particularly close to your heart, because you are let's say a kind of a green sustainability warrior. At least that is the distinct impression I have picked up over time.
We try our best.
So I think that will wrap things up for this week, unless we are missing anything as far as you're concerned.
No, I think that covers. I mean, there's always a lot of things going on, but I think that covers where we stand and where we're headed.
All right. Well, with that, I will wish you and your family a great Thanksgiving at home. Next week, we will not be doing the update at our normal time next week. But I also wish you out there in the audience a great Thanksgiving at home with your own little bubble, and just enjoy it as best you can. And remember, your sacrifices this year are going to pay off for all of us in the future. Talking to Adam Chapdelaine, our town manager, and this week's town manager update, I'm James Milan. Thanks for being here.